details.
The woods went quiet at exactly 11:17 p.m. Not the normal kind of quiet. Not the crickets stopping or the wind dying down. The silence that presses against your ears and makes you realize just how small you are. That's when it hit. 1 week earlier. Kelly, Lisa, Zach, and I were a misfit group of friends. Wallflowers, really. We were the kind of kids who kept to ourselves. Shy, quiet, mostly invisible to the rest of our peers. We'd been friends since middle school. Lisa was the last of our group to join us. She transferred in from Canada our sophomore year. We were coming up on the night of our graduation. We made a pact to all do something crazy before we split off for college. It was Jason's idea, of course. He was always the more spontaneous one. "Let's go on a camping trip," he exclaimed. "Ew, no thanks. Bugs, gross. And camping is not what I think of when I think of crazy," Kelly said immediately. "Come on," Jason pleaded. "We could go up to Zach's parents' cabin. I stayed there one summer. It was awesome." Zach frowned. "Are we talking about the same cabin? Because I remember zero technology. No internet, no cell service." "Okay, then that settles it," Kelly said. "Absolutely not." Lisa shrugged. She was always the one open to something new. Could be fun. Once Lisa agreed, Zach changed his tune pretty quickly. He's had a crush on her since shortly after she moved here. The problem was, Lisa had a crush on Jason. Something only Kelly and I knew, because Lisa told us. Girl code. Me? I like the outdoors. The idea of a week away with my friends, disconnected, everything sounded perfect. I was very, very wrong. We all looked at Kelly until she finally caved. "Fine," she huffed. 5 days after graduation, we drove into the Appalachian Mountains, crammed into Jason's Honda Accord. Zach rode shotgun. He was guiding us after our GPS had cut out, and then our phones lost service entirely. Kelly was not handling that well. We were definitely in the middle of nowhere. Trees stretched for miles. No other humans in sight. "It should be up ahead," Zach said. The cabin looked older than any of us. It was slouched beneath the trees like it had been there forever. No cell service, no neighbors, just wood, shadow, and the kind of silence that makes you second guess your choices. The inside of the cabin was a bit cozier. A large den with a fireplace. And then I noticed various mounting plaques on the wall. You know, the kind of plaques where hunters were supposed to show off their prized taxidermist kills. But there were no kills, just blank plaques. As I got closer to these plaques, they all had brass labeled plates on them. And even though the plaques were barren, the nameplates all had something different written on them. I got closer and scanned them slowly. Michael, Sarah, Daniel, Emily, Thomas, Rebecca, Nathaniel. People I didn't know. People who meant nothing.
Abigail, Ezra, Elijah,
Margaret, Samuel, Ruth, Caleb, Josephine, Henry. All of the mounts looked old. The names were faded, some scratched deeper into the brass. A few had been etched out entirely, new names carved above them. Uneven, hurried, almost desperate. Others were so worn they were barely legible. Hey, Kelly chuckled nervously. Here's your name, Lisa. Lisa stepped up behind her, squinting at the plaque that looked the newest out of all of them. Zach? Dude, what the hell is this about? It's from the old hunting club that used to meet here before my parents bought the cabin, Zach said quickly. My dad mentioned something about the place being shared decades ago. People would come up here every season. Maybe the plaques were meant to honor members of people who passed away or moved on. Creepy, Kelly muttered. The sun was setting by the time we finished our hot dogs by the campfire. Time for beer! Jason hooted. He ran to his Honda and popped the trunk, revealing the alcohol his older brother had snuck for us. I'd never had a drink in my life. My mom's an alcoholic. I don't have a dad in the picture, so yeah, trauma. But I didn't want to be a downer. Tonight was about me and my friends. About 3 beers in, I was starting to feel it. Honestly, we all were. We were laughing, loose, happy. Kelly and Lisa danced to music that didn't exist. Jason and Zach poked at the fire like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. I was okay. Happy. Anxious, too. I already knew I had anxiety, so the alcohol wasn't doing me any favors. I need to take a piss, Jason suddenly announced to the entire Appalachian Mountains. He disappeared into the trees. The cabin didn't have a bathroom, just one outhouse outside, and that thing was disgusting. Dude, come check this out, Jason shouted from somewhere in the woods. Dude, we are not falling for that, Zach shouted back. Lisa, come check this out, Jason called. Lisa didn't hesitate. She giggled and ran straight into the dark. The rest of us followed close behind. This is so weird, Jason pointed to the lake so all of us could see. He shined his flashlight across the water. His other hand held a half-drunk beer. The same arm was draped casually around Lisa's shoulders. The water was unnaturally still. Dead fish floated near the shore. Their bellies were bloated and pale. Glassy eyes staring up at the sky. A sour, metallic smell hung in the air. What the hell? Kelly whispered. I stepped closer and froze. Bones littered the shallow water. Long, bleached shapes lay half buried in mud and silt. Some were too large to belong to any animal I recognized. The rocks looked ancient, older than the cabin, older than anything that should still exist here. Lisa crouched near the edge of the lake, her face pale. These aren't just animal bones. A chill crawled up my spine. That's when I felt the strange urge to check my watch. 11:17 p.m. That's when it hit. The silence. No insects, no birds, not even the wind. Lisa had reached into the water without anyone knowing. She lifted a curved boned fragment from the shallows. A rib bone. Yo, Kel, check this out, Jason suddenly said. He pulled another object from the water. A bone charm. Finger bones, tied together with old black twine. Laughing, he lifted it over Kelly's head and dropped it around her neck. Maybe it was just the alcohol, but I swear Kelly's eyes went glossy at that exact moment. Then she slowly looked up at Jason. In a flat, hollow voice, she said, "You are going to die." Jason burst into laughter. He leaned back down into the water and pulled out a broken antler tip, smooth and darkened, half covered in mud. Cool, I'm starving. When Jason suddenly decided that he was starving, we all headed back towards the cabin. He went straight towards the coolers, hysterically laughing. We all watched him tear open a package of hamburger from the cooler and stuff handfuls of it into his mouth. Raw. Blood streaked his chin. Kelly gagged. Lisa laughed. Zach made a joke. No one stopped him. Later, Jason and Lisa stepped away together, quiet and giggling. I saw Zach notice. Saw his jaw tighten. He didn't follow them. He just walked off into the trees without a word. Kelly stayed with me by the fire. She seemed different now. Her voice soft but wrong. It's already decided, she murmured, staring into the flames. The lake remembers names. She started whispering something under her breath, not words I recognized. My head suddenly felt heavy. The fire blurred. Then, nothing. I woke up outside, crawled near the fire pit. The flames were dying. Kelly lay beside me, eyes wide and confused when I shook her awake. Neither of us remembered falling asleep. Then we felt movement, running. Deer burst through the trees in a frantic cluster, eyes wide. Bodies colliding as they fled downhill, away from the lake. Birds exploded from the branches overhead, abandoning their nest and screaming in flocks. Squirrels, rabbits, anything fast enough scattered through the underbrush like the forest itself had sounded an alarm. Kelly stood beside me, pale, hugging her arms. Animals don't do that, she whispered. More followed, a fox, then another deer. Even insects poured out of the grass, swarming in the opposite direction, abandoning the forest in waves. Nothing ran toward the lake. Everything ran away from it. We found Lisa near the cabin, hurt. Her leg was badly cut and bleeding. She was shaking. She didn't remember anything after leaving with Jason. Inside, the cabin smelled like metal. The plaques lined the wall, like they had before. Except one. Lisa's name was scratched out. Deep gouges marred the brass. Above it, freshly carved, was a new name. Jason. Something hung where the mount should have been. A bloodied bone. We tore out of the cabin immediately when Lisa found Jason's Honda keys in her pocket. Kelly drove. Lisa sat in the back seat with her leg wrapped in a blanket. No one spoke. Jason's Honda rattled down the mountain road, the woods thinning behind us like they were letting us go. No one believed us. The police searched the cabin, the lake, the surrounding woods. They found no bones, no symbols, no plaques. The walls of the cabin were bare, completely clean. Zach and Jason were declared missing within the week. Life slowly moved on. 3 months later, I was unpacking boxes in my dorm room when my phone buzzed. 11:15 p.m. It was a text from Lisa. "You need to read this." A link followed. The article was old looking, buried deep online. Zach's last name jumped out at me immediately. His family. And the cabin. Generations tied to an isolated spiritual group. They were rumored to worship hunger, sacrifice, and the keepers of the quiet. Caretakers. My stomach turned. That's when I felt it. The weight in my pocket. I reached inside slowly, my fingers brushing against something hard and smooth, cold. A fragment of bone. I didn't remember taking it, but I knew exactly where it came from. My phone buzzed again. 11:17 p.m. The city went silent. No cars, no voices, no sirens, no hum of electricity, not even the ringing in my ears. Just dead silence, the kind that presses in, the kind that makes you aware of suddenly how small you are and how hungry something still is. Hey, thank you again for sticking around until the end. This one took forever to get done. I had some issues recording it. If you like The Keepers of the Quiet, please go to my Wattpad. I will put my username in the comments. Go give me a... And if you like that short story, be sure to check out my others, and also get your copy of Key to the Bloodbound on Amazon. It's available as hardback, paperback, and on your Kindles. Thank you so much.